Hey everybody, Matumbo here. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are playing some more Historic here on Magic Arena, and we are going to take a step back. We're going to look at a deck that is a little similar to what we played a long time ago, but of course this is Decktember. So we are playing user-submitted decks, and I should say viewer-submitted decks, not user-submitted decks, but this is a deck I'm going to tell you a little bit about, but first, before we hop into the deck, I want to actually just remind everybody, Decktember is, during December, I am giving back. I am going to be playing only viewer-submitted decks, and we're going to see how your decks perform, and then after a few games with your deck, I will then talk about the deck, what I think about it, make some potential changes, what I think might maybe help the deck out a little bit, and then we will play some games with my version of your deck, and we'll just maybe see if it helps it out. Maybe that'll actually just trigger some ideas. Maybe it'll trigger some ideas for you, for me, for maybe some people who are watching. And then hopefully we can just use this as a brainstorming session and just help better everybody that's watching. So again, if you want to be a part of Decktember, join the Discord, head over to the Decktember channel and hop in there, read the pin post, and see the format to submit your deck for Decktember, and maybe we'll make it into a video. And real quick also, before we hop into today's deck, we would just like to remind you, if you enjoy the channel and the video, please just go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things you can to help out the channel. Check out all those cool links down below. And so with that being said, let's hop right into this deck. And this deck is titled very hysterically, Wizard Needs Food Badly. So, a great call out to that classic game, Gauntlet. One of my old school favorite games, one of those original, just roguelike games. Very fun to play if you haven't played. They actually have a updated version on Steam that's fun to play. I've got many hours in that game. So, but yeah, this deck again brought to you by Arkán Dreamwalker. So thanks again, Arkán, for bringing us this deck list. This is going to be fun. This is one of my favorite, and I know your version is not a budget build, but this is one of my favorite budget type decks to build. So let's actually just talk about this deck. This is a very aggressive deck. You can go in very quick bursts over time. You can play a bunch of creatures and overwhelm your opponents, or you can start overpowering them with just beefy interactions that have to do with like prowess and triggers from our friend Adeliz right here. So Adeliz, the Cinderwind, she's basically like the Wizard Lord. So she's a 3-mana 2/2 flying with haste. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, all of your wizards are going to get +1/+1 until end of turn. So we have a ton of just instants in our deck that are actually going to allow us to not only burn our opponents, but that burn that we're casting at our opponents or using to remove a blocker that's in the way is actually going to pump all of our creatures that we have in play, and then that's just exponentially going to deal more damage to our opponent because we are just multiplying all the damage in multiple different ways. So we do have 4 Adeliz. Again, Adeliz is pretty important. She is a legend, but usually when you drop this and you get to swing in, the game's going to be over. We have 4 copies of Siren Storm Tamer. This is one of those creatures that just has 18 different creature types. It's a pirate, it's a wizard. It's a 1/1 for 1 that has flying. You could sacrifice it to counter an ability or spell that targets you or a creature you control. So this is really good against cards like Settle the Wreckage, because they have to target you with Settle the Wreckage, then you can just prevent that from happening by countering it. If they go to try to remove one of your other creatures, such as like Adeliz, we can actually sacrifice this to prevent that from happening. This is really just a great utility creature. We also have 4 copies of Shock. Again, Shock is great. It's a 1 damage burn spell. It's going to deal 2 damage to something, and then it's going to trigger Adeliz's ability, and then it's also going to trigger Soulscar Mage. Soulscar Mage is great because it's just a 1/2 for 1, but it also has Prowess. Prowess is ability that is basically like Adeliz, but it's for itself. So anytime we cast a non-creature spell, the Soulscar Mage itself is going to get +1/+1. So we can start shocking and lightning striking and doing all the different burn spells or different draw card abilities. And this creature's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger the more spells we cast. And then we'll just be able to, again, it's another way to overrun our opponents. So we have 2 copies of that. 4 copies of Chart a Course. This is great because you get to draw 2 cards. If you attacked, then you get to keep both of them. If you cast this before you attack, then you just have to discard a card. Typically, this is a card that's found in like the Phoenix decks because you use this before combat, pitch the Phoenix, and then keep casting spells, bring all the Phoenixes back. But yeah, for Lightning Strikes, Lightning Strike again is your pretty static. It's just your typical 2 mana, 3 damage spell. It's just been around for a long time. So yeah, any target, 3 damage, 2 mana, pretty good. Lightning Stormkin, another wizard. This is also an elemental. Sometimes you find this in these weird elemental the teamer builds. But this is just a 2 mana, 2/2 flying and haste. Really good ability, really good stat line for 2 mana. So it's a really efficient creature. So let's get down to some of just the last cards. We have 4 wing words. This is basically Chart a Course, but this says if we have a creature with flying, and pretty much all of our creatures are flying except for Soulscar Mage, this is going to cost only 2 mana to draw 2 cards. Again, really powerful. We want to just keep replenishing our hand. That way we always have something to cast or put more creatures in play. And then let's look at these specific wizard cards. So these are the cards that actually make the wizard decks pretty powerful. The first being Wizard's Retort. This is typically a 3 mana counterspell, but when you have a wizard in play, it's going to make it a 2 mana counterspell. It's going to actually make this card just a counterspell. The old school card from, revised alpha beta, just 2 blue counter target spell. Really, really powerful. And then we also have Wizard's Lightning. So when you have a wizards in play with Wizard's Lightning, if you don't have a wizard in play, this is a 3 mana deal 3 damage spell. It's an instant. It's still a fine card as is, just 3 damage for 3 being an instant. But again, if you have a wizard in play, this card becomes Lightning Bolt. It reduces the cost by 2, and then it just is 1 red mana, deal 3 damage to any target. So again, Lightning Bolt is a very powerful card. That's why they don't typically keep it in standard, and the reason it's not in historic. So yeah, Lightning Bolt seems a little unfair given, the speed at which historic is played at. So this is going to give us a little bit of an edge. And last but not least, it does look like we have 1 copy of Kasmina, Enigmatic Mentor. This is a Planeswalker with a passive ability. It's going to make spells your opponents cast that target a creature or Planeswalker you control cost 2 more to cast, so their spot removal is going to be a little more expensive. It's going to be harder for them to deal with our creatures. And on top of it, we can -2 to actually create wizards, and then whenever they actually come into play, we draw a card and then discard a card. So that's actually going to let us pitch the cards we don't need, and then hopefully just draw some more fuel for the fire. So again, this is the deck. We're wrapping it up with 22 lands. Our deck really curves out at, I would say, 3. We just have a 1 of at 4. So yeah. Arkán, thank you again so much for this deck. We're going to hop into the gameplay and then again play a few games, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll play some more games. So let's hop in, and we will see you guys soon. All right. We're going to play a very aggressive deck, as just outlined in the introduction. So again, Arkán, thank you for this list. I read your primer, and yeah, it is a little, I would say, intimidating almost, that you've been working on this deck for upwards of a year. So if I pilot your deck horribly, I apologize. This is a deck that we featured in one of our budget builds. Obviously, it's going to be a lot different. I feel like this hand is fine. All right, so they're playing green and or black. All right, so how aggressive should we be? We're just gonna go super aggressive. Green can, oh, okay, so it's Simic. This could be a number of things. We're just going to get in for one here. Just going to play a Siren Storm Tamer. I think we're going to hold back until next turn. Oh, okay. So they're on a Neoform deck, it looks like. Oh, maybe like a Teamer control deck, maybe? Is there anything we can do? Can we kill them this turn? Probably not, but... So, we're going to go ahead and cast this Wing Words now, just to get the Prowess trigger. And I do kind of like the fact that we drew the Shock here. A Shock is going to allow us to shock them at the end of the turn. Uro kind of sucks a little bit. How much damage can we deal to them next turn? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12. You put them at 5? I also do want to be pretty aware of a stomp. So we are... I'm not gonna do anything too crazy here. We're just gonna play Haster and we're gonna get in. I feel like they're going to Genesis Ultimatum us next turn, to be 100% honest with you. I just don't know what their deck is doing. You know, seeing cards like Wilt. They could cycle into permanent Uro? Oh, Kiora Best of Sea Gods? You're dead here, my friend. Are you dead? So we're not going to get any damage through with the Soulscar Mage. So... Three, 4, 5. Adelays would have been really good. This has haste, but then we can't. We can only swing in for 5 here. Either way. Yep, so when I misplay this turn somehow, please let me know. Oh, that Shock was actually really good, right? So they're gonna tap us down. Maybe they just play another Kiora Best of Sea God here, and then then we just win. Please just play another one. Oh. Could be bad, could be bad, could be bad. Okay. That's perfectly fine. So they're going to... If they -3, they're going to lose their Kraken. Okay. I mean, our guy was tapped anyway. So I think... I'm 99% sure we have this game, right? Let's see what land they get. Yeah, so we held off the bolt. Yeah, I don't think they actually have anything that they can interact with this with. And we're just gonna let it resolve. I don't want to take a chance and then have them have some kind of spell there. So yeah, wizards. Wizards! Oh man. That's what we called our old budget deck, so that was sweet. On to game 2. Alright, well game 2. Let's crack open a new bottle of water. Let's hydrate. Oh yeah. Let's make sure we get our wizards fed. Oh, we've played this person before. Fairly positive. Fairly positive we've played this person before. Selfless Savior. Well. Something tells me I'm supposed to kill that thing, right? So, no, you know what? Worst case scenario, they play a core, and then we can just kill both of them. Right? So we're gonna play this Soul Scar Mage. So this Soul Scar Mage is gonna kill the core Spirit Dancer regardless, because it's gonna get counters. So they're probably gonna think that they're saving it, but in reality they're not, and they're actually. Oh, well. Yeah. So the reason they probably scooped, and we were going to finish our thought there. So the reason that's bad for them is they can't save it with the dog, with the puppy dog. They can't save it with this. Another creature gets indestructible in the turn. The reason behind that is even though we're dealing 2 damage to this, the Soul Scar Mage has a replacement ability on it that says if a source that you control would deal damage to it, you're actually going to be putting -1/-1 counters on it. So if they would have sacked the Savior to the Spirit Dancer, this would have just gotten -2/-2. Indestructibility is not going to prevent a 0/0 creature from dying. So that is why. So, all right, on to game 3. Yeah, Wizards, I feel like this is one of those decks that just kind of hovers just under the radar. You know, and it kind of creeps up every once in a while. People forget about it. And then as soon as you see that first wizard, you're like, oh man, this is a wizard deck. I'm about to get got. You know, not always, but more often than not. So this is not a great draw, but I feel like we're going to keep. So we're just going to lead on Mountain into Soulscar Mage to make them think that we are actually playing mono red. It doesn't look like it actually is going to make a difference here. So they're probably on some kind of weird... oh, it's just colorless? Okay, so they're on a colorless list. We have to be pretty careful. We actually have to start drawing decently. I don't know what's bad here, right? Mana acceleration is pretty bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They already have 7 mana. So think how pretty ridiculous that is. How much damage? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just hit him down to 10.
Listen up, and I'll teach you. Join my cause.
I mean, if they just go 8th land into Ugin, we lose. Karn. All right, so And they're going after dumb things next turn, right? Dumb things next turn. I do want to draw a couple cards here. Not what we were looking for. Not what we were looking for. There's still time, right? There's still time.
Every day is a new lesson.
We kill this Karn. It does suck because they have Paradox Engine online. That's all of their artifact mana right there. Yep. Do it to it. Wow, they had another Karn. Pretty good. Pretty good. Now they're going to get their Mystic Forge. Yep, that's exactly what they got. So I don't think we're going to beat this. I have a hunch. All right. All right. Well, the good news is they're kind of just dirtling right now. We really need them to go 2 land in a row here. All right, so that was a land. Another Mystic Forge. So another Mystic Forge is probably going to seal this game. So at what point do we concede? So a Witch's Oven here is game. Like if they just go get a Witch's Oven, that's pretty good too. I wonder if they'd even have a Witch's Oven. So a Witch's Oven would actually allow them to generate infinite mana, because they could sack a Metalwork Colossus to get 2 artifacts, 2 food, and then they could recast the Metalwork Colossus. So good game. Good game. I mean, Ugin doesn't kill us. It's the fact that you're just going infinite is killing us. Sure.
I will return with even more disciples.
So we'll see one more spell. So they have 17 mana in their mana pool. And this puts them at how much life? 55. All right, just enough to kill us. So that's unfortunate, but that's going to happen sometimes. Your opponent is going to get to combo you. So, all right, well, let's look at this deck and talk about it. Let's see what kind of changes we can make. All right, well, we went 2-1 with Arkán's version of this deck. So I'm kind of wondering what we should be changing. So with a deck like this, there's really not a lot of changes I feel like you can make, especially with, like I had mentioned earlier, reading over your primer about the deck and how it's played and how it's meant to be played. I know specifically you built this to be played a certain way, but I feel like there are a few changes I would make. Now, one of them, I feel like it may have just been overlooked because maybe this deck hasn't been updated in a while, but it did say that you do update this deck pretty often as a set comes out. So I do feel like we want to be running some more dual lands in here. We do have access to the red-blue pathway, so I do think adding the pathway in this deck. And then the other cards I really feel like we're going to be looking at and changing. I do think like we may need some more Soulscar mages in the deck. I do feel like Soulscar Mage is actually pretty important to the deck. It is a great 1-drop. It's a 1-drop that is potentially hard to deal with. So we're going to look at maybe trying to fit in a couple more Soulscar mages. And I don't think the Kasmina really belongs in this deck. It's a one-of. It's not something that's typically going to really ever come into play. I feel like if we have to rely on a Kasmina, and this is in my opinion, if we have to rely on Kasmina to win the game or actually make some kind of meaningful impact, I don't feel like we're going to be winning that game very often. Yeah, it may come into play. It may draw us a card that we actually need, every once in a while. But I think overall, it's not really going to make an impact, especially being a one-of. And then by being able to cut Kasmina, we actually lower our mana curve overall. We might be able to cut one land out of the deck. I'm not saying definitely that's what we're going to do, because we still have to look over some things. And I do feel like having 8 card draw spells is fine, but I do think we have to look at making the cost of those spells a little more efficient. Cards that come into play, obviously, or come to mind first, cards like Opt, but I'm not even sure Opt is a card that we want. So I'm going to go over some things, move some things around, push and pull some cards and see what we come up with. And we're just going to hop into our time machine and we're going to jump forward, probably 15, 20 minutes and see what we come up with. And we will be right back. All right. So welcome back. We are in the future now, so to speak. And this is the deck that we decided to put together here. And at first glance, you may be thinking, oh, it's starting to morph into a deck. We're starting to become the enemy, and in that deck that I'm referring to is mono red. But this still really holds true to what we're really trying to do with the deck. We did actually add more creatures. We didn't actually take away any creatures. There are 2 extra copies of Soulscar Mage. What we really did do here is we cut the chart of courses and the winged words. We put in 4 copies of Light Up the Stage, because I feel like Light Up the Stage is actually going to be a little more mana efficient. The only difference is, yes, typically we're not going to be casting it before we attack. However, we still can cast it before we attack to actually trigger the Adeliz and the Soulscar Mages, because we can do things like Shock, Wizard's Lightning before we attack, and then cast Light Up the Stage, and then we can get in. And then also we did add 3 Pillars of the Flame. So Pillars of the Flame is basically like Shock. However, it's just a sorcery. So it is going to give us a little bit of extra damage. It's going to allow us to possibly close the game out a little bit faster. And I think that this might just be what we need to actually put this deck over the top. Maybe not, that may not be the best phrase, but I do think that that is going to make this deck a little more aggressive, and I think it's just going to give us just that little bit of an extra edge. Also of note, we did remove Kasmina. Again, on my thoughts of that earlier, I just didn't think that one of Kasmina was really needed in this deck. And then we did add the River Glide pathway, or the Lava Glide pathway, whichever one you want to call it. Basically the Is It pathway. We added this. Again, very important. When I read your primer, you were very adamant about how important dual lands were. These are not true dual lands, but they do give us the ability to decide which color that we need more of at the time. And yes, it may turn off, like a turn 2 Sulfur Falls, but I really think that these are actually going to be a little bit more helpful in this deck. And we only had to cut 2 of each basic, so we still are playing 10 basics. Still is fine. There are other lands we could be playing, but dual land wise, those would be coming into play tapped. We don't really want that again. We want to be as aggressive as possible, just like he had mentioned. So with that being said, we are going to try our version of Wizard Needs Food Badly. Hopefully when we're done, the wizard will have accumulated all of his food and will never be hungry again. So let's hop into the gameplay and we will see you guys at the wrap up. I don't know about you guys, but I'm thirsty. I've been doing a lot of yapping. That's what we do on this channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and hydrate and get ready, because we're gonna be probably yapping some more. And that's what you guys are here for, right? So I think this is actually an okay hand. It's not the best hand, but we do have a 1 into a 2. We also have some removal. Not really sure what our opponent is doing. So the Sulfur Falls it's a good draw, but it's also an awkward draw because we don't really want to be drawing any more land here. So we're just going to get in. I think it's best to just be aggressive. We're probably going to get like languished here. Okay, so no languish. They're limited to a 3 drop. So it could be like a Cry of the Carnarium, but a lot of these decks don't play Cry of the Carnarium. So what's better to play here? Is it better to... Is it... I guess we're just going to force down more damage. I really would like to draw some 1-drops. I wonder if our opponent draws with this fountain. Nope. So they've gained 3 life off of this fountain. So this is good news for us, because the so this is almost a really insane draw if we had 1 more land. So we could... I honestly don't want to give them any cards. Yeah, I just don't want to give them any cards. We're probably going to get board wiped here. We are really committing to the board pretty heavily. And that's typically not something you're not wanting to do against a black control deck, because black decks have so much removal. And it looks like it's not going to matter. I don't know what their deck is doing. So this might be the Paradox Engine deck, but with black in it. So, okay. So yeah, so they actually might just not have any removal in their deck, because they just might have some spot removal. I have seen one deck, I think, recently with it was just a list that was a black deck. It played swamps and stuff. It didn't make sense to me because I feel like you still want to be playing for completely colorless. But yeah, so game 1 of the books. All right. Game 2, and we usually hydrate in game 2s. We hydrated in game 1 last time too. But water's important. It is the lifeblood of the universe. I don't know about the universe, but we're going first. This is an awkward hand to start with, but we're gonna keep it. We just run out of Pillar Flame, dealing 2 damage, right? Seems like a horrible play. We get Thought Seized. All right, enjoy. You just did 20% of the work for us. I'm gonna imagine they're gonna take Lightning Strike or the Storm Tamer. Nope. so seems pretty good. I do like the Soulscar Mage draw. Okay. No, they're just gonna give up. We're gonna burn them out. Gotta count that, you know, as a victory. They did 6 damage to themselves, essentially a third of their life for us. That turn alone right there, we actually get to deal 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, put them at 5. And then the following turn we get to lightning strike them for lethal. That seems pretty good. So again, while not the best opener, because we didn't actually get to play anything on turn 1, sometimes your opponent just does all the work for you. So next game. All right, so we're gonna need to draw a bit more in regards to the cards that we added, but we really only added, the only different cards we added were gonna be Light Up the Stage and the Pillar. We've already drawn a Pillar, so I'd really like to see Light Up the Stage in action to see what we're doing here. And I feel like this might be a keeper here. I mean, it's definitely a keeper. So this is the same guy who was playing that black deck. So now he's just playing an artifact version of this deck. So you know what? We're gonna drop this down. We're gonna burn you. I wonder if we can kill them this turn. When it dies. So let's get that out of the way. Oh, they still get to draw a card. That's unfortunate. Okay. Well, we are getting some quick wins with this. So this person was the one playing the mono black artifact deck, but it looked like this time he was playing all colorless. So maybe he switched it up. Maybe he accidentally. Oh, let's keep going. Yeah, so these are quick wins. That's 3 games already. We might have to play an extra game. I really wanted to stick to playing you know, just the set 4 games, but I just when you get 2-minute games, we're going to keep. So let's get this burned out of the way, right? No? Is this goblins? Please don't be goblins. No, it's not goblins. It is. I mean, it might as well be goblins, right? I think we're just gonna go over. I think we're just gonna go over the top. This Wizard's Lightning is gonna have to deal with that Steamkin. We really want to draw a land here. But I don't know wholly what their deck does, right? Fine. Oh, well, a land there would have been the bee's knees. I think we have to play some some defense here. So it's good to counter that because of the fact that it just gets rid of the Dreadhorde Butcher. I think the Dreadhorde Butcher becoming a 3/3 is bad. So again, we have to... We're gonna take some more damage. Their deck's doing a great job of what their deck is designed to do. All right, so I'm gonna play this as a red. So we actually have Wizard's Retort here, and we have a blocker. I'm totally fine with blocking here. We're gonna counter Robber of the Rich. Oh man. So again, being patient and playing like that does pay off. We were pretty low. We were at 7. They could have put us at 6 by attacking, even if we blocked. That ping would have came through. But yeah, I do wonder what else their deck would have done for the next game. All right, well we're going for a final boss. This is these games are so fast. I feel like I owe it to everybody to at least give you one extra game, even though our games are only like 2 and 3 minutes long since switching the list. So if we win, great. If we lose, it's unfortunate, but I think we're doing okay. We're gonna keep this. We are gonna keep. We get to turn 1 Siren Storm Tamer, turn 2 Storm Kit. Yeah, I got the hiccups real bad today. Then we get to start burning. We have 8 points of burn in our hand. We're playing against colorless. Man, there are just a lot of... Oh man, that vibration is loud on his phone. We're just playing against, I feel like, a lot of colorless decks lately. Alright, do you have a mana rock? Of course you do. So, we just have to be faster. Alright, can we kill? Okay, luckily that's the Scry land and not the gain 2 life land. Mind Stone, okay. Power Stone Shard, alright. So I think we have to. We are 1 point off. We are 1 point away. Okay, maybe that gives them a sense of false hope. They have 7 mana. Okay, good news so far. Oh, and you're not doing anything about this. You're gonna draw a card in response? Well, we're gonna lightning strike you in response. Draw a card in response again? The Forsaken Alchemist. I'm sorry, it had to be you. But yeah, Wizards what can I say? Wizards is fast, Wizards is effective. So let's talk about it in the wrap-up. All right, so welcome back to the wrap-up, and yeah, Wizards, the Wizards seem to be fed. They no longer need food. They seem very energetic and willing to and able to fly over and get the job done and just burn our opponents out. So yeah, I think this list is also great. I did enjoy Arkán's deck as well. It's really just going to be preference on what you want to play at that point. Again, we did kind of just try to minimize the cost effectiveness of the deck. We wanted to make everything cheaper. We wanted to just make there be less cards overall in the deck. You know, that's why we just brought up Soulscar Mages. We put in just we added some Pillar of the Flame for more burn. Light at the Stage essentially is a 1 mana draw 2 spell. And then we just got rid of, you know, that awkward, you know, in my eyes, Kasmina. So just real quick, we flip over to the version 1 of this deck, and this is what it looked like. And then again, taking a look at it here, you see not a lot of changes. We just added some of the pathways, and then just really smoothed out some of the numbers on the deck. And I really think that this deck works just as well as the other deck. And again, it's just going to be a preference on what you want to play. Do you want to play more burn? Do you want to play more card draw? I think effectively in a deck like this, they almost do the same thing. The only difference is we get essentially 6 extra damage with the 3 Pillar of the Flames. And it also could come into play, you know, at some point, maybe exiling a creature that we don't want to hit the graveyard. So, you know, keep that in mind when playing a deck like this. But yeah, again, I really think that this was a great build. And I'm not speaking about our build. I'm speaking specifically about Arkán Dreamwalker's build. The primer that he wrote for this is really, really great. It's got a ton of great information. You know, he has percentages on win rates and what percentage of creatures have flying. Our list is going to be a little different than that since we changed some cards up. But I think it's really worth checking out. If you want to check it out, his list is in the Decktember channel of the Discord channel. So head over to the Discord, check out Decktember, and then look for Arkán's submission, and have a read. It's on a website I've actually never seen before. It's called moxfield.com. I've never seen this website, but there is actually a primer tab on the deck list. He also had a sideboard, but we didn't include the sideboard since we're not playing best of 3. We're only playing best of 1. So yeah, great deck. Thank you so much, Arkán. I'm sorry, I'm saying your name 18 different ways, and it's so crazy because it's only a five-letter word. But yes, thank you so much for submitting this deck. It was a ton of fun. I hope you enjoy the changes I made to it. Don't know if you will take any of these into consideration, but if you do, I hope you have a pleasant time playing this deck. I had a great time playing this deck. Again, I do want to point out that one of the great things about Wizards is it is a fairly budget-friendly deck. Looking at the list of cards, and I'm not counting the land, but just the cards, the spells themselves, there's only 4 rares, and that's great. Everything else is comprised of commons and uncommons. So then on top of that, we just have 12 land. Overall, it is a 16 rare deck, but again, 12 of those are going to be lands. So very, very, very budget friendly. And this deck is pretty consistent. This deck I know can climb the ladder, the ranked, whatever you want to call it. So give it a shot. Give this deck a shot. It's a lot of fun, and it gets you really fast wins. That's the real beauty about some of the decks like this. Sometimes you know very quickly if you're going to win or if you're going to lose. And sometimes that just makes for a more enjoyable day when you just know your games are going to be quick. So with that being said, though, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, that like button, the bell icon. Check out all the cool links down below, the Discord, the Twitch, the Patreon. And again, if you want to be considered for a Decktember video, head over to the Discord channel, join the Decktember channel inside the Discord, and check out the pinned posts and see what format you have to submit it in. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Again, hope you had fun. I hope everybody keeps continuing to stay safe. We will see you next time. Remember, this channel would not exist without such amazing viewers and subscribers. Thank you so much for interacting with the channel and helping grow the community. And a very big special thank you to the Patreons listed here for supporting the channel.